All of us in the tourism industry in 2009 face a number of big challenges. In fact, we face 10 enormous interlinked challenges. But behind every challenge there's an opportunity. And what I'm going to try and do is to identify the opportunities that lay in those challenges and find ways in which we can engage with the challenges to make the most of the opportunities. I'm here at the top of Salisbury Hill, a National Trust landmark, Iron Age hill fort on the borders of Somerset and Wiltshire in the United Kingdom. From here we can see Bath, a major tourist attraction for thousands of years, and the surrounding areas from the Severn Estuary to the Wiltshire White Horse. You see, I get worried when we start talking about the climate, which is probably the most appalling challenge in many respects, because I'm looking at the Severn Estuary over there, I'm looking at Bath, which has been my home city for many years over there, and I'm thinking of my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. If the forecasts are correct, climate change is going to cause huge problems for us, huge problems. It's going to change the face of tourism all over the world. But of course, the climate change has opportunities as well, like everything else. We only need to understand what's going to happen and we can take care of it. The thing that worries me, and I think it worries everybody that studied it in any way, is our failure to act. We need to act now as far as climate change is concerned. That is the only opportunity that we have. Acting now is going to be crucial, because if it doesn't happen within the next few years, well, we might not be doomed, but it's an enormous gamble, isn't it? It's an enormous gamble that we don't want to take. Certainly I don't want to take it. So we need to engage with climate change. We need to engage with all of the potential opportunities, enormous opportunities, and they all mean money. Anything that saves energy means money. Our challenge and our opportunity in the energy arena is to understand how to conserve energy, how to extend our seasons, how to make the most of occupancy levels and load factors. And on top of that, we can try to understand the carbon market, because it's there, a growing carbon market in which many gains will be made. Why do we trash this beautiful environment? I guess I'm lucky here because Salisbury Hill isn't yet on the tourist trail. In fact, there's not an infrastructure for tourism here. They have to walk up. It would take half an hour to get up to the top of here, and there's not a lot of tourists would come in their buses to do that. But the fact is that the environment represents our heritage, our kids' heritage, our grandchildren's heritage, and it also represents, in the tourism business, it represents our biggest asset. That's why ecotourism is such a real opportunity. It does two things. First of all, it enables us to understand where we live and what benefits it has, what the ecosystems truly are. Also, in using them to put together a tourism product, it helps other people to understand and respect and cherish our heritage. So when they come here, they try not to trash it. You know, it's a mindset. At the end of the day, our natural heritage, our natural environment, our built environment and our built heritage are important assets, and they need to be cherished. Ecotourism is the key to these challenges. Right, I'm going down the hill to investigate the food situation. Maybe we'll have piles of food, and maybe we won't. Forecasts are that we won't. In fact, up to 40% of the world's population will starve in 50 years. The opportunity is sustainable local food in cafes, in restaurants and hotels and in guest houses. So we can reasonably come out with the offer of an authentic local experience. Come and see us and eat our regional food. That's what sustainable tourism is all about. Less food miles, more food yards. It's all about making the most of what we've got. Bath has been doing tourism for between 2,000 and 3,000 years. First of all, the Celts came here for the sacred springs. Then after that, the Romans came here for a bit of rest and recreation and to take the waters. Then after that, the Georgians came to Bath because it was a fashionable place to be. Recently, the Americans discovered the city, and now millions of tourists come to Bath every year. Something like 2 million people come to Bath every year, and it's part of the World Heritage chain. It's a World Heritage site. The city is home to something like 80,000 population, of which probably about 10,000 work in the tourism industry, in the cafes, in the restaurants, in the hotels, in the B&Bs, in the tour operators, and there's got tour guides. And it's a very established tour destination. In 2009, in the tourism industry, we all face a number of challenges, whether we're travel agents or tour operators, whether we're train companies or bus companies, whether we're hotels, guest houses or B&Bs, or whether we're destination management companies. We're all in the same bag together. We face the same challenges. And the challenges, the 10 challenges that we face are the economy, the environment, climate, food, energy, water, culture, social interaction, security and health. So challenge number 1 is the economy. And it's unusual to see shops close down and for rent in such a prime tourist location as Bath. The fact is, the tourist numbers even here are dwindling. But more importantly, even the tourists that arrive spend less money. And no one can really see an end to this. Although in the next few years tourism is likely to be on the increase again, in the short term the tourist economy is scratching around at the bottom of the pool. Now, we do hear talk of green shoots. And one way to recognise green shoots is the fact that they are green. They're green, they're sustainable, which clearly the old economy wasn't. We need to help them to grow. We need to help to make the tourism sustainable, and therein lies our real opportunity. The green shoots of sustainable tourism will help to reinvigorate the whole of the tourism economy. Many industry experts agree that our biggest challenge over the next couple of decades is going to be water. Now, it's surprising that I'm talking about a problem with water when I'm standing on many millions of gallons of hot stuff at the heart of the Roman baths complex. The fact is, however, that water will be an extremely scarce commodity, and we'd do nothing to make that better in the Western developed world. The fact is, here in the United Kingdom, for instance, something like 90% of our water goes down the toilet. We only use 10% of our drinking water for drinking and for cooking. Of course, we know that water is going to become a much more difficult resource to deal with. There's been much less of it around. It's an opportunity, it's a challenge, but it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity in the sense that as soon as we recognise that, then we have the opportunity of actually understanding how much we have and doing something about it. One thing that we can do that's a very worthwhile thing to do from a tour operator's point of view or a destination's point of view is to do a water audit to make sure that we have plenty of supplies of water. The United Nations Environment programme identifies one major challenge that many people don't recognise, and that's the cultural challenges from tourism. The fact is that what we tend to do, from simplicity's point of view, is to commoditise culture, if you see what I'm talking about. However, in a sustainable tourism age, this is a real challenge for us to deal with, because we don't want to throw cultures down the tubes. So, our challenge and our opportunity is to deliver an authentic local product. Culture comes from a number of things. It comes from local tradition, it comes from food, it comes from drink, it comes from artistic traditions, etc., etc. What we have the opportunity of doing to differentiate ourselves from other people is to deliver authentic local product, to deliver authentic local culture as part of our tours. And that's a real opportunity. It's something that we will give to people that they will get a really big benefit from, and we'll get a benefit from it as well in terms of finance. Health, major challenge. Just this year we've had SARS, we've had swine flu, and it absolutely destroys tourism. Now it's ironic that I should be talking about health as a challenge and I'm standing in a healing city. I mean, the fact is that Bath has been delivering healthcare for 3,000 years or so. Even now the new spas just opened up. But the problem is that health will stop tourists coming to a destination. In Mexico, I understand that tourism is affected by something like 80% down because of the swine flu. We all know what SARS did in the Far East. The opportunity that we have with health is to make sure that we can actually deal with it. And we have one key little golden treasury, and that's called local, domestic, regional. Make sure that you've always got your local, domestic and regional markets available, because it is that local, domestic and regional markets won't go away from you. They're there. They come to your destination because it's close and it's also very, very sustainable. Make sure that you have your contact in your local, domestic and regional marketplaces. Okay, another challenge that we face is social interaction. The fact is, tourists make a mess. Lots of tourists make a big mess. If you're one of the 90% of the population in many destinations don't gain your living and your resources from tourism, then you get a pretty raw deal. More tourism, tourism is forecast to get to well over 1 billion within the next few years, even if we have a problem with the economic situation. More tourists are going to make more discord in destinations. What's the answer? The opportunity is fair trade tourism. With fair trade tourism, the parts of tourism, the money flows throughout the whole local economy. It's an art and it's a science. It's a worthwhile thing to do in any destination, be it in the first world or in the third world. Fair trade tourism will be the name of the game. It will be something that I'm very well worthwhile putting together. Since 9/11, security has been a bigger and bigger challenge for the tourism industry, and it's only set to get worse. If you look at the destinations in this last few years that have really suffered through security issues, Kenya, Lebanon, even Thailand has had real problems as far as security is concerned, and it stops tourism. All that needs to happen is that there's a travel advisory by a first world government and tourism is stopped. Now, how can that possibly represent any kind of opportunity? Well, it does. The fact is that if you look at your destination and you make sure that you have a disaster remedy in place, you've got your teams in place, you've got your media specialists in place, you look at the problems that might happen and you make sure that you've got a plan to deal with them, then at least if it's a different problem, you know that the other angles are covered. So security, a risk and an opportunity. So finally, back on Salisbury Hill, and to round up, we have 10 big challenges. That means we have 10 enormous opportunities. Opportunities for business, for trade, for social interaction, for the environment, to use tourism as a real force for good and a force for wealth too. Why not? We engage with these challenges, which are the biggest we've ever faced in the tourism industry, and we engage with them fully, and we delve the opportunities inherent in them. We'll take a chance of making a really good industry, an industry for the future.